There you go.
Good?
Yeah.
Welcome. We're here at a kitchen facility that has been allowed to us to come in and do a little demo for our Culinary 114 classes. We want to thank Chef Sean for allowing us to partake in this. And today we're going to be breaking down a chicken, and we're going to be breaking this down into 8 parts. This will be for some of our recipes that we would have been doing in class these coming weeks. So pay attention, watch. We're going to do it a couple times, a couple different instructors, and we're going to follow through with a couple different recipes also. So what we have here is we have a 3-pound bird that we're going to break down into 8 pieces. First thing I like to do is I like to remove the wing joint at the first joint here. So I just want to find that joint. I usually give it a little wiggle just to kind of see where that joint is connected, and then I like to put my knife right on that and I'll cut right through. Always remember that if you're on joint, it's going to be real tough to get through. If you're in between where the joints meet up, the knife should go through just like butter. Second step that I like to do is I like to remove the leg and the thigh, and as I always say with chickens, there's always a road map. Wherever you see a line of fat, that's where you want to put your knife. So I'm going to insert my knife right here, and I'm just going to score the skin. I'm just going to move that back. And what I want to always do when I'm dealing with chickens is we always want to remove the oysters. So the oysters are always back here along the backbone. We have the backbone, we have the keel bone. I'll get to that in a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I remove that oyster, and there's really nothing holding anything together. It's just the skin. But as you can see, there's always that line of fat that you'll see, and that's where you want to put your knife so you're not cutting into the breast. I come to the back, I find out where the oyster is. I can see it again. It's right there where my thumbs are. I stick the tip of my knife in there. I score that oyster out, and then I'm just going to pop the joint. I'll cut the little tendon, and I can pull that right off. So we have a leg and a thigh. Do the same thing to the other side. I just score the skin. Again, the oyster. Pop the joint, cut the little tendon, and we can pull that right off. So right now we have 2 pieces plus our wing joints. Next I'm going to remove the backbone. And I'm going to cut the breast in half. Now I always find it easier to go from the inside of the chicken as opposed to going to the outside. Could you give me my French knife or a French knife? So I'm going to switch knives here. And if we're going to do it this side, the keel bone always runs right down the middle of the bird, and that's where we would put our knife. I find it easier to go through the bone first. So I'm just going to find the center, right where the middle of the keel bone is, on the underside of the bird, stick my knife in there, and then I just score that and cut the 2 breasts in half. So now what we have is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and what we want to do is we want to make 8 pieces of chicken. So we're going to turn this into 8. Where I'm going to cut this is I like to look at the breast, and I look at the density of the breast itself, and it's always a little bit thinner towards the tip of the breast than it is towards the wing joint. So what I like to do is I kind of like to look at that and cut it in about 2/3 to 1/3, because there's always a lot more meat, and I'm just trying to get even portion control out of this. So again, I always like to go through the bone side. Not that you couldn't go through this, but I look at this and I go, what's about half, and then I go maybe just a little bit more. Score that, and then just cut right through the bone. So that gives me 2 pieces here. And again, either going through the bone side or top side of the chicken. I look at the breast, I go what's about half, and then I go a little bit more towards the wing end. So that gives us 4 pieces. Now I have the leg and the thigh, and we're going to cut this. And I'm just going to trim this up a little bit. If there's some little bit of extra skin and fat, we're just going to trim that up a little bit. And then, as I always tell everyone, chickens are really easy because there's always a road map to where you need to put your knife. And as you can see, there's a line of fat right here, and that's usually where the 2 joints are going to meet. And they're usually a ball and socket. So what we need to do is just get in between those 2 joints. And if I usually put my knife right on that line of fat, that usually tells me where the joints are. And then I can cut right through, and it should always go through like butter. If you're on bone and you're having difficulty, then what you want to do is you want to take your knife and you just want to kind of move it a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. But if you're cutting between the joints, it should be nice and easy and there should be no resistance. So as you can see, all right, so now we have 2 legs, 2 thighs, and our breast is broken into 4 pieces. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we'll take this and we'll use these scraps. We're going to use these for our stock. Okay, and that's how we break a chicken into 8 pieces. Thank you.